I just walked out of that locker room still trying to process what we all just watched. And if you're a 49ers fan, I know your heart rate probably still hasn't come down either. Let's just say this right up front, because it needs to be said clearly and without hesitation, Brock Purdy deserves MVP votes. No, he's not going to win the award, and no, he probably shouldn't win it because of missed time. But pretending this guy doesn't belong in that conversation anymore just isn't honest football. Analysis: what Brock Purdy did in this game was special, and it was the kind of performance that forces people who've doubted him to finally stop moving the goalposts. Think about the circumstances for a second. First play of the game, pick 6. Not a reckless throw, not panic, just a defender making an elite play. A lot of quarterbacks spiral right there, a lot of teams fold. Instead, Brock Purdy calmly goes out and puts together one of the most efficient, clutch performances you'll ever see. 7 of 10 on third down, 5 for 5 in the red zone. 0 sacks allowed, 5 total touchdowns. 2 with his legs, 3 with his arm. That's not surviving, that's controlling a football game. Here's a stat that should stop you in your tracks. The Bears became the first team in NFL history to score more than 35 points, have a defensive touchdown, allow no sacks, commit no turnovers, and still lose the game. That's never happened before, and the reason it happened is because Brock Purdy walked a tightrope all night and never fell off. If you're watching this right now, let me ask you honestly, is this the best Brock Purdy game you've ever seen? Yes or no, drop it in the comments, because I'm curious where this one ranks for you. This was one of those games where, somewhere in the third quarter, it felt inevitable, like he just wasn't going to let them lose. The precision, the mobility, the way he hit third and even fourth reads, that's veteran quarterback stuff. That's trust dash your dash guy dash in dash the dash biggest moments football. And if you're still calling that a system quarterback, you're missing what's right in front of you. If you appreciate this kind of breakdown and you want locker room level insight like this all season, make sure you subscribe and help us push toward 1,000 subscribers. It makes a real difference, and if this game fired you up, go ahead and hit like 2. Because what we're watching right now isn't just good quarterback play, it's the foundation of something bigger, and next, we need to talk about the partnership that makes all of this possible. What makes this whole thing even more fascinating is that Brock Purdy isn't doing this alone, and that's where the conversation always seems to get twisted. Every time he plays like this, the debate immediately turns into, is it Kyle Shanahan or is it Brock Purdy? And honestly, that question misses the point entirely. It has always taken two. It took Montana and Walsh, it took Steve Young and Mike Shanahan, and now it takes Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy working together in complete sync. Christian McCaffrey said it better than anyone in the locker room, and when you hear it, it clicks. Kyle doesn't just understand offense, he understands defense at an elite level. He knows gap integrity, he knows responsibilities. He knows which defenders are aggressive and which ones can be baited. And when your head coach sees the game that way, the offense doesn't just attack structure, it attacks emotion. That's how plays get dialed up that feel like they're always one step ahead, and that's why this offense looks so calm and chaos. But here's the part that doesn't get enough credit. None of that works without a quarterback who can execute it with precision and feel. Brock Purdy's mobility isn't just about scrambling for yards. It's about extending plays without breaking the timing of the offense. His pocket presence allows linemen to trust where he's going to be. His processing allows him to get to the third read without panic. When he hit Ricky Pearsall on that critical third down as the third read, you could feel it in the stadium. That was a quarterback announcing, "I've got this." If you're watching this right now, I want you to answer this in the comments. Do you think this offense works the same way with a quarterback who can't move like Brock Purdy does? Yes or no, because mobility and precision are what make Shanahan's playbook come alive in the biggest, Moments, this isn't Kyle carrying Brock, and it's not Brock freelancing outside the system. It's collaboration. It's two football minds speaking the same language. That's why the red zone was perfect. That's why the third downs kept converting. That's why even after a mistake, there was zero loss of confidence. And if you're enjoying this kind of football conversation, make sure you're subscribed and help us get closer to that 1,000 subscriber goal. You don't want to miss what's coming next, because the scariest part for the rest of the league is that this team keeps finding answers even when everything around them starts breaking. And this is where you really start to appreciate what the 49ers have built, because this one wasn't about everything going perfectly. In fact, it was the opposite. They were missing George Kittle. Trent Williams goes down on the very first play of the game. That's the kind of moment that changes the entire night for most teams. Instead, the 49ers just kept moving, and that tells you everything about their culture. Ricky Pearsall wasn't even expected to suit up. Kyle Shanahan admitted that straight up. And yet there he is, fighting through it, stepping onto the field, and becoming a difference maker when they desperately needed spacing and reliability. Those are the moments that don't show up fully in the box score but absolutely swing games. And it's not a coincidence that when Brock Purdy needed a third read conversion, Pearsall was exactly where he was supposed to be. Then there's Austin Pleasance, a guy who's spent years bouncing around practice squads, suddenly thrown into the fire at left tackle after Trent goes down. That's nightmare fuel for most offenses, but Pleasance talked about something that matters more than people realize. Brock Purdy's consistency, the 5-step drops, the 7-step drops, the timing. He knows where Brock is going to be. That trust allows replacement players to play fast instead of scared, and outside of one pressure that stalled the drive, the offense kept functioning. That's not luck, that's preparation and structure. That's a quarterback who makes the players around him better, not by yelling or hero ball, but by being exactly where he's supposed to be, every single snap. Let me ask you this, and I want a real answer in the comments. Which performance impressed you more, Ricky Pearsall gutting it out, or Austin Pleasance stepping in cold and holding his own? Drop a name below. If you're liking the way this team keeps absorbing punches and still putting up 40+ points, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and you're not going to want to miss how this season finishes. Because when teams can win while shorthanded, that's when something deeper starts forming. And sometimes, when you watch closely enough, it starts to feel like more than just football. And this is the part of the night that's hard to explain unless you felt it too, because it wasn't just tension, it was emotion. The kind where your stomach drops, your mind starts racing as the other team marches down the field. The 49ers defense bent all night, and when it mattered most, they somehow refused to break. That final stand wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean, it was survival. Chase Lucas said it himself. On that last play, he lost the running back in man coverage and thought it was over. He thought he was cooked, and then something just happened. He found himself in the throwing lane. Caleb Williams had to sidearm the ball under pressure from Bryce Huff, and it skipped into the turf. Game over, season-defining stop. If you've watched enough football, you know how rarely those moments go your way. And yet, for the 49ers this season, they keep happening. Bryce Huff has become the closer, and that's not an exaggeration. When the game tightens, when everyone's gassed, when it comes down to one snap, he's the guy chasing quarterbacks into mistakes. That's Mariano Rivera stuff. Empty the tank, find a way, get the final out. If you believe this team has a defensive closer right now, say yes or no in the comments, because I don't think that's an accident. When you stack this play next to the other moments this season, it starts to feel eerie. The miracle catch early in the year, the 4th down stops, the punch-outs, the last-second kicks. Over and over, when the margin disappears, the 49ers land on their feet. That's why people inside that locker room are starting to use words like destiny, even if they're afraid to say it out loud. It's hard not to think about the 2010 Giants when you watch this team. The torture, the chaos, the moments where nothing makes sense except that it somehow works. Brock Purdy feels like the Tim Lincecum of this group, not the biggest, not the flashiest. Just a guy you trust when everything's on the line. And if you've watched this season and thought, this one feels different, I want you to tell me, do you believe this team is playing with something extra right now? Yes or no, if you're feeling that energy, make sure you're subscribed and hit like. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and you don't want to miss where this is heading. Because all of this drama, all of these moments, they've set the stage for what comes next, and what's in front of the 49ers right now is massive. Now everything narrows, all of that emotion, all of those moments, all of that survival has led to one clear opportunity sitting right in front of this team, the 1 seed. Home field, time, and in a league where nobody is healthy by the end, time might be the most valuable thing you can earn. If the 49ers take care of business, they don't have to play again until deep into January. That matters when you're talking about Trent Williams dealing with a hamstring. That matters when you're talking about Fred Warner being one step closer to returning and giving this defense the extra edge it's been missing. Those aren't small upgrades, those are tone setters. Those are players who change how opponents have to prepare. What stands out most to me is that this team is doing things backwards from how most contenders operate. They're scoring 40-plus points while missing cornerstone pieces. They're winning games where the defense struggles for long stretches but still slams the door at the end. That's not fragile, that's adaptable. And adaptability is what wins championships when plans fall apart. Brock Purdy is the engine of all of it. Not because he's perfect, but because he's unshakable. He flushes mistakes, he trusts his reads, he trusts his teammates. And he makes the entire operation feel calm even when it's chaos. That's why the offense feels like the best unit in football right now. That's why this team keeps finding ways instead of excuses. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Do you believe the 49ers lock up the 1 seed and finish this thing the right way? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments, because this next stretch is going to tell us everything. If you've enjoyed this breakdown and you want to stay locked in as this season hits its most important moments, make sure you're subscribed and help us hit that 1,000 subscriber goal. Hit like if you're riding with this team, and stay right here with Niners news, because what the 49ers have right now is special, and there's no reason to believe they're done finding ways.